Hi, this is Bradley Barth with SC Media coming to you from the InfoSec World Conference in Orlando, Florida. And my guest here with me today is Andrew Smeaton. He is a CISO and board advisor. And Andrew has a very special presentation here at this year's show. He's going to be talking a little bit about a personal adventure that he embarked upon, in which he helped extract a friend and colleague and his family from Ukraine after the Russian invasion. Uh, Andrew, I'm so glad you're able to join us today. Give us a little bit of a sense as to the story that you're telling everyone here today at InfoSec World.
So the story starts off. I'm in Cancun. I'm sitting on a beach in Cancun, and I think I just ordered an old-fashioned drink, and I'd give a security talk, and I had basically days R&R. After that, my phone went off, and it was like one of BBC alerts. So I went back to my room because it said Ukraine was invaded by Russia. So I went back to the room, and lo and behold, Russia invaded Ukraine. I quickly, my day was shot. I got on a plane. I got on the first plane, and I left from Cancun to Boston. I live in Boston, so I drove from the airport back home. I got a kit bag, some stuff for a couple of weeks travel, and then I went to from there. I left from Boston to Frankfurt, and from Frankfurt I went to Krakow, Poland, which that's really on the border of Poland and Ukraine. And then, so 2 days later, I was actually in Krakow, Poland. I'd set up a forward operations center for us. And the idea was that we sort of help team members get from the border and get to sort of safety, get, to hotels and stuff, right? And help anyone we actually could. So immediately I knew really you got to set up resources early in any situation like that. Resources go quickly. In fact, when I arrived at the hotel, 24 hours later, all the hotel rooms were booked, and I'd booked a block of hotel rooms. What I did, I secured some services, some like buses, and a local security person, actually a trauma person. So I secured a lot of resources really immediately. That was my concentration, because I knew within days that would be gone. Over the next 4 or 5 days, we were really concentrating, helping, getting people from the border to the hotel, supplying them with sort of packages. A lot of people that had gone through like traumatic experiences, right? And you could see the pictures of children at the border, and it was horrendous. You see trauma on children's faces. So I really knew one of the things about trauma is trying to get them back to normalcy, right? Trying to get them into good, safe environments. One particular family, Chris and his family, they'd had a lot of trouble. They had left Kyiv, and they got to a farmhouse, and then they tried to get a train. And unfortunately, in like situations like this, in war situations or crisis situations, you see the worst and the best of people. And as they got to the train station, the dog had been trampled. They had to pick the dog up. They had a 12-year-old boy and his wife, a cat and a dog. And I think the boy was pushed over. And people just didn't care. People would just like save themselves, and a lot of men just pushing out the way. And then unfortunately the air raid siren went off in the train station, so everyone kind of fled, and he didn't want to try that again. And I ended up speaking to him like more and more frequently as the situation got worse for him. So the next thing was we tried to secure transport for him. And we were offering, and he was offering, like $5,000-6,000 just for a ride, just for a car. He didn't have a car in Kyiv and stuff, right? And you couldn't secure a car at that point. So that fell through. A number of things fell through. We tried to get a bus there. So on the morning of the 2nd of March, which was 6 days after the event, I'd had another phone call with him, and the situation was getting dire. He'd heard explosions nearby. He was actually talking about walking to the border. I knew that would be an awful idea to try, and I wasn't too sure his son would make it. I have a 12-year-old son too, so I really related to that. So it was one of them moments in life that I said, okay, where are you, Chris? Send me your coordinates. I'm coming to get you. And then it's something that you say, it's great, and then you're like, oh my God, and 1,000 things go through your mind of how am I going to get to Ukraine? How am I going to get over the border? I had an Avis hired car, and unfortunately, Avis don't allow cars into war zones. So the next thing was like to secure transport. I was really lucky because I'd met a family, and I'd offered to trade a watch for a car, and he originally took the watch, and then I got the watch back. Actually, it was a really nice family, but it was a really old car. It was maybe about an 18-year-old Toyota car and stuff. And in broken English, the lady, really nice family, said to me, when you go over a bump, the hood of the car flies open. And so I'm like sweating bullets. I'm like, you can't believe this. You can't make it up. It's not like the movies. It's not like James Bond. So anyway, I knew there's a company called Paladin Security Company. So they actually met me at the border. Interestingly enough, the border was about 5 miles before we got to the border. The border was kind of closed off. The highway was closed off. And Paladin, they'd hired a local security guy, and he got me through the cones and stuff, right? Got me, and so I'm racing towards the border of Ukraine. The highway's completely empty, except for all these. There was a lot of NATO trucks heading towards the border at the same time. Same time that day, the news reports were coming out that Belarus was going to invade Ukraine. So I'm looking at this map and I'm thinking, well, Belarus are coming down from the north, Russia are coming from this side, and here's me in this like 18-year-old Toyota trying to race in to grab his family and then to drive south, right? I was actually, my original plan, I was going to try and go to Slovakia, go away from the fighting and stuff.
And I believe the security crew that was with you, I remember you telling me that they weren't going to let you cross the border, right? They were very much adamant about, we're not going to let you cross.
Yeah, Nick and Paladin and stuff, right? And Nick's ex Special Forces from the Foreign Legion. He was like, you're not going, Andy. And I'm like, I'm going, Nick. And he said, Andy, I'm not going to let you. And I'm like, listen, Nick, I'm going to go whether you like it or not. So, like, please help me here. He had the presence of mind to do something else, too. I asked him to get me some duct tape. So he checked the oil of the car, and I've got a picture. The oil was completely empty of the car and stuff, right? So I might have got like 10 miles into Ukraine, and the engine just seized up. And he, just a few basic things. He poured a bunch of water, he'd give me a knife and stuff, right? I think a knife, a compass, and whatever. And we talked about communication protocols as I'm going through. So there was a lot of roadblocks getting to Chris and his family. And I've got some pictures of roadblocks. One of them actually, they were putting hedgehogs in the road right then because they expected the tanks to be rolling down. As I'm racing through with this car, and I think the car had like a 1 liter or 1.1 engine in it and stuff, and the car's going as fast as it possibly could and stuff, right? I'm driving it just more out of nerves than anything. So I was lucky to get through the roadblocks by showing my American passport. Because they were stopping me, had guns pointed at me and stuff, right? And every time I'd show my American passport and try and tell a story of where I was going, and they were letting me go, and that was good. When I got to Chris and the family, it was probably the quickest turnaround we've ever done. They were in the car, and with a minute, we were gone. Yeah. It was just turn around, gone. We never really spoke to each other on the way back. It was, everyone was nervous, everyone was upset. When we got back to the border, I'd spoke to Nick again, and Nick said, hey, Belarus hasn't invaded. So I changed the plan. I said, okay, I'm going to head straight back to the nearest point, to another Polish border, not the Slovakian border and stuff, right? It was quicker, and I had concerns about fuel. Yeah. So I got back to the border, and there was tens of thousands of people. The very sad thing that hit me when I was going back to the border, there was luggage. You could see people that I tried to walk it and just dropped luggage halfway. Just suitcases, small suitcases, big suitcases, just dropped. The families just trying to get out in desperate, cold situations. So we got back to the border. There was miles and miles of cars. Eventually, we got through the border, and then I took a photo. It's a selfie. I didn't realize we had this silly cat hanging from the mirror. Didn't even notice it for the whole journey. But there's a selfie of me, Chris, his wife, and his son and stuff, right? And there was a big sigh of relief. And after that point, it obviously hit the news, and we raised about over $150,000, like in 3 or 4 different charity deals that we did, which was, bringing awareness and trying to sort of help people and stuff, so yeah.
As a security professional, as a CISO, skills that you need in that position, threat intelligence, quick decision making, communication, leadership, all things like that. I would imagine that a lot of these skills came in very handy.
There was a lot of skills there, like that made it successful. The first one I really knew from sitting on a beach in Cancun to get into Krakow, Poland and stuff, right? I needed to secure resources early. I knew that's my number one thing. Get them early, because if you look at what happened in COVID, right? As soon as COVID happened and the masks went out to say, you couldn't get a mask, and the second wave typically can take weeks or months to get things and stuff, right? The planning, we did meticulous planning, meticulous communication planning. We supplied satellite phones. We did testing for satellite phones. We tested for different scenarios. And then on the day itself, taking the back roads, don't go through the main supply routes and stuff, right? There was so many things. Like, I look back and that was just second nature. One of them is not to be emotional, and that's hard, right? And especially, in the days when you see children and you're seeing things and stuff, right? You've really got to get a grip of yourself, and you got to be not emotional, and to understand how people react in crisis, right? People react in all different ways. You see bravado. I was speaking to people that were like, we're going to fight the Russians, and then when it happened, were like, Andy, please get me out of here. Yeah. They were like begging, and it was heartbreaking and stuff, right? Some people fall apart, unfortunately, and stuff, right? And it's known to pick the team around you too. Even some of my team and stuff, right? I knew which ones that could really help me in a situation like this, and which are the people that, hey, are going to be sort of too emotional and not really going to be able to help and stuff, right? So there was a tremendous amount of communication protocols, like, when I was going to call Nick, check-ins, because I had to turn my phone off and stuff, because I didn't know what I was going in for 2 days, 5 days, how long it would be. So yeah, there was the more I think about it, there was a lot that sort of just helped me and helped others.
Since you were able to extract that family, how close have you kept tabs on their progress? Have you talked to them much?
Yes, yeah, we still keep in contact. Chris was brilliant, actually, because when Chris got across the border, he helped us tremendously, like technically and stuff, right? So everyone that we got through the border and stuff and back to the hotel, they immediately just like put the stuff in the hotel room and like, we want to help Andy. What can we do and stuff, right? In the first couple of weeks and stuff, right? We got I think it was like 92 people over the border, which is amazing, right? But the first couple of weeks, it was just all hands on deck. It was like, literally 18-hour days. And Chris was like at the time, just a tremendous help and stuff, right? And I think we'll have a lifelong like friendship now and stuff. We had a lot of walks, and I got to meet his like son, who's a character. His wife's lovely and stuff. Chris is like lovely and stuff, right? Just a really nice family.
Well, thanks, Andrew. It's a riveting and captivating story. Heartbreaking what the family had to go through, but it's good to hear that they're doing well, even if they did have to flee their homeland. But thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. This has been Bradley Barth from InfoSec World in Orlando, Florida. Until next time, have a safe day online.